All Animals Are Our Relatives by Florence Caplow. We light this chalice in honor of the animal realm, furred and hoofed, two-legged, four-legged, many-legged, fanged and clawed, gentle and fierce, wild and tame. May we remember that all animals are our relatives, worthy of our care and respect.
Mary Oliver writes, what if 100 rose-breasted grosbeaks flew in circles around your head? What if the mockingbird came into the house with you and became your advisor? What if the bees filled your walls with honey and all you needed to do was ask them and they would fill up your bowl? What if the brook slid downhill just past your bedroom window so you could listen to its slow prayers as you fell asleep? What if the stars began to shout their names or to run this way or that way above the clouds? What if you painted a picture of a tree and the leaves began to rustle and a bird cheerfully sang from its painted branches? What if you suddenly saw that the silver of water was brighter than the silver of money? What if you finally saw that the sunflowers, turning toward the sky all day and every day, who knows how but they do it, were more precious and more meaningful than gold? Good morning and welcome. Welcome to this place of community, spirit, and service. Welcome to this place where we gather again and again to practice what it means to be in community, to be in brave space, and to be connected to that which is bigger than us all. Welcome to everyone here this morning, everyone joining from a distance, and a big welcome to the youngest among us, those who are in this multi-generational community with us, where we make space for all that we bring this morning, our wiggles and our laughter, our questions, and one another. And welcome to our furry friends, our scaly friends, our small friends, our jumpy friends, our wiggly friends. This is our annual animal blessing service, and it's the first one that we've had in a very long time in which we could all be in this space, in which we could bring our animal companions, our beloved pets, to this space this morning. What a blessing it is to be adaptable. What a blessing it is to gather in community. And in the name of that, let's take just a few minutes to turn and greet our neighbors this morning. Morning, good morning, good morning. As I mentioned, this is our animal blessing service. At some point later on in the service, you'll have the opportunity, if you'd wish, to bring yourself and your animal up to get a blessing. Also, after the service during the coffee hour, we'll have more one-on-one blessings if you'd like it. For this service, you're also invited to share any mementos or memories you have on this back table of any animal companions that you have had who have passed. Also, you can join us during the coffee hours. The animal ministry team who's helping with this service today has a table where you can sign up, a table where you can learn more about what they do, also a table for donations. They have plant-based snacks, so please stop by, join with them after the service during the coffee hour. This is a time for us to be in community. This is a time for us to gather and explore what it means to be interdependent, what it means to live into our principles and our values. And as always, Sunday after Sunday, time after time, come, let us worship together. I now invite you to rise as you're willing and able while I invite our singers to come to share with us our opening hymn. You can find it in your Till hymnal. It's number 1007. There's a river flowing in my soul. Saint Francis of Assisi once wrote, "Ask the animals and they will teach you the beauty of this earth." There is a deep mutuality experienced when one shares a home and a life with an animal companion. While we are the main providers of the food and the health care and the belly scratches and the ear scratches, they teach us deep lessons about the beauty of simply living. My cat Zelda, who is not here with us this morning because she would not like this, she doesn't care what other people think about her. My cat Zelda isn't self-conscious or poring over whether or not she made the right decision. She's not reliving old embarrassing times. My kitty Zelda lives in the moment. She refuses to be uncomfortable, and she does exactly what she needs to do. What a lesson she is in presence. What a lesson she is in self-care. What a lesson and a joy it is to care for one another. What a blessing it is to give and to receive as equals. And now's the time in the service where we bless those animals who are our companions. As our readers from the animal ministry come and join up here right now, I invite anyone who has an animal that they'd like to bring to the front to come up and join us, or you can stay right where you are, especially those of you who are joining us on the live stream. This is for you too. Won't you come join us for this time of blessing? Testing. Once everyone gets assembled. What was that? Yeah, once everyone gets assembled, Clif is just going to stop and you guys can take over. And then it's done, sit like that down. Okay, thank you so much.
You birds of the air, hawk, sparrow, and laughing jay, you embody freedom itself. Delight us with your song, astound us with feats of migration. Grant us your perspective, for too often our horizon is limited, and we are blind to the full results of our actions. You worms of the earth, ants, beetles, spiders, and centipedes, you are the essential but oft forgotten strand in nature's web. Through you, the cycle is complete. Through you, new life arises from old. Remind us of our humility, for the wheel of life does not turn around us. We are not the axle, but merely spokes, no less than unseen, unknown, and shunned companions such as yourselves.
You, creatures of the field and wood, marsh and desert, bear and bison, skunk and squirrel, weasel and wolf, too often we have sacrificed your homes in the name of progress, clear-cutting the forest to fill our desire, or covering the earth with tarmac, cement, and suburban lawns. Pray that we may remember that the earth was not given for our needs alone, and what we do to you, we eventually do to ourselves. You, dearest companions in our lives, dogs and cats, hamsters and goldfish, you who are with us today and you who will always be present in our memories. You have enriched our lives in so many ways, endured our shortcomings with calm acceptance, taught us something of our humanity, taught us how to love. May we hold you in our hearts throughout the days of our lives.
May you each be blessed. May you each be loved. May you teach us as much as we teach you. May you care for us as much as we care for you. May your lives be long. May your bellies be full. May we be sustained by your loving presence and joy. May it be so. Blessed be. Community by practicing it here among one another. And there are so many ways to jump into community here at River Road as always. Please check out your e-weekly for a comprehensive list of ways to get involved and to do just that. Just a couple of things this morning. Next Sunday begins a two-part Sunday series called Rhythm of the Soul, where we dive into embodied worship and spiritual practice. These two Sundays are inspired by our retreat that we had this past spring. So next week we're going to be doing a drum circle. Yes, the service is not about drums. The service is a drum circle. If that's not your jam, please still join us anyway. You don't have to play the drums. But if that is your jam, we're all going to be circled up in here on this floor, on the ground level. Together, we're going to be joined by Katie, who led our drum circle during the retreat. She's going to bring drums, but if you have your own drums, please bring it. Please join us. It will be live streamed. And next Sunday after that, August 21st, we'll be doing a deep dive into meditation. We'll be joined by Neil Rosen, who was a part of our retreat workshop on meditation. We'll have different forms of meditation, sound meditation, guided meditation, even song meditation. So please join us for these next 2 Sundays. Of course, our in-gathering Sunday will be Sunday, September 11th. So we're getting towards the new year, but as we wind out this summer, let's do that together. Let's do that embodied. Let's do that with one another. When we gather together, we do so with a deep knowing that we are imperfect people who hold a complexity of joys and sorrows, vulnerability and bravery. And we reflect the world of which we are a part, the world full of joy, the world full of sorrow, the world full of complexity. But we gather intentionally to share in that together, to be with one another in so many imperfectly perfect ways. You're always welcome to light a candle throughout the service for the unspoken joys and sorrows of your hearts throughout the service. Of course, the joys and the sorrows, our hearts are lifted up to those who are still dealing with the damages and the destruction of the recent flooding from Kentucky all the way to Baltimore, and places all over the world dealing with extreme, crushing heat temperatures. On our hearts also this morning of animal blessing are all the animals in war-torn areas. The animals who have been displaced due to systemic violence, due to terror, the animals searching for their space, for their people, for their food, for their shelter, the animal whose habitats have been destroyed by climate catastrophe, by agribusiness, by greed. We bless those shelter workers, the veterinarians, the volunteers, the emergency centers, the foster homes. May we build a better world, not just for ourselves, but for all creatures of the earth and sky. We hold all of those this morning going through difficult and challenging transitions, all of those experiencing losses, those struggling with isolation, those struggling to find community, struggling to make their place in this world. May we be one another's anchors. May we be one another's belonging, one another's shelter in the storm. May we be one another's peace and understanding. May we always give. May we always receive. May we just be. May it be so. I'd like to invite members of the Animal Ministry team to share this morning's reading.
Our reading today is When Your Best Friend Has 4 or So Legs by Teresa I. Soto. What if it means to have a pet is to love someone who speaks a language that you do not? A dog will bow and prance. A cat will purr and blink. A guinea pig will giggle and squeak. A long time ago, a friend of mine had a dog and considered herself the pup's guardian. A gentle way to think of protecting and caring for a friend. Such a small gesture of respect for a source of boundless love. The dog's long pink tongue lolling in a goofy grin. The cat convinced that kneading and grooming are crucial to this day. A bird asking for a treat, bending a wing in a wave.
These are friends, they are loves. It's kind of a surprise that you should love someone so much who would eat the butter on the table if they could get away with it, and get endless hair on the sofa when they aren't even supposed to be on the furniture. When they are called companion animals, it's such an open, tender truth. The endless cuddles and tricks and loyalty, the comfort of fingers to fur and big, adoring eyes. These are friends. They are loves. They stretch our hearts and fill them with their abundance of kindness. When they are gone, our hearts remain larger, though their absence leaves room for expanses of grief. Their love champions and companions us still.
You can join with us in the singing of Spirit of Life.
Giving is a spiritual practice that invites us to actively and collectively build our community into the future. Of course, you can give many different ways at River Road. We all know about text to give at this point. I'm sure you can recite the number with me. It is 73256. You can give directly on your phone. You can also give online. You can give in person in our basket that I believe is somewhere in the back. Whether you give online, in person, whenever and wherever you give, we are co-creators of this beloved community. As we are blessed with the singing of our choir, please give as you are willing and able.
Of the sky and of
Amen, right? I'm okay with it. In the article titled The Emergence of Connected Consciousness, author Paul Linda writes, "The murmuration of starlings is something exceptional to witness. There's a harmony and perfection that goes beyond the mind. As thousands of individual birds move as one being, it's like watching a miracle, a mesmerizing pattern of life that appears almost as an animated sacred geometric screensaver, but is, in fact, a massive group of little black starlings, each with their own life and consciousness. What amazing is that it's thousands of birds and they never collide as they move as one connected consciousness where their individuality is no more. They fly like one great bird." It's really hard to engage the concept of our interconnectedness with animals without exploring our relationship with the natural world also. Whether we're talking about domesticated animals, animals in the wild, animals in captivity, or animals who are being protected in their own habitats, we know we are speaking of beings that are naturally deeply tapped in and connected to the natural cycle. From their interdependence with their environment to their intuitive and instinctive survival mechanisms, we know that animals have a deep sense of connection and relationship to the world in which they live. And while, of course, there's any number of lessons that we can learn and do learn from any given animal, I wanted to this morning explore and learn from groups of animals often found in the wild. Not just about the truly cool, fascinating science behind it all, but of the social and organizing aspects to this grouping behavior. Of course, our society, as we know, is hyper-focused on the individual at almost all levels. And this doesn't even have to be about individual people per se, but individual organizations, individual countries, individual ideologies and religions, more specifically, one's individual ideologies, religions, beliefs, countries, or other identifying groups. And that's what makes it truly complicated and unbalanced, because our personal, individual, our groups, beliefs, and selves, it impacts everything else around it. And this is where our typical go-to systems of power and control have left so many of us feeling exhausted, drained, depleted, and isolated. So often the models of leadership and development that we do have prioritized this hierarchical, top-down kind of leadership where competition and resources and control often overshadow the actual work that we're trying to do. Our mission and purpose gets buried beneath the struggle for this type of power. So this morning I wanted to turn to Joanna Macy's work around her concept of deep ecology. If you don't know, Joanna Macy is a Buddhist scholar. She's an author. She does facilitation work. She does leadership development. And for decades, she has described this idea of the great turning, or the shift in consciousness and the way that we live together on this planet and the systems that we promote. Rooted in scholarship as well as spirituality, she explores the relationships of the patterns found in nature and in animal behavior. She talks a lot about the difference between power over and power with. And she says this about power over. "We may wonder why," she says, "why power as domination, which we see enacted around us and on top of us, seems so effective. Many who wield it seem to get what they want: money, fame, control over others' lives. Yes, they do," she says, "but always at a cost to the larger system and always at a cost to their own well-being within it. To the social system, power over is dysfunctional because it inhibits diversity and feedback. To the power holder themselves, it's like a suit of armor. It restricts vision and movement, narrowing awareness and maneuverability. It cuts us off from fuller and freer participation in life." And she has this to say about power with. Living systems evolve in variety, resilience, and intelligence. They do this not by erecting walls of defense and closing off from their environment, but by opening more widely to the currents of matter, energy, and information. They integrate and differentiate through constant interaction, spinning more intricate connections and more flexible strategy. As life forms evolve in complexity and intelligence, they shed their armor, grow sensitive and vulnerable. This power with creates a type of synergy, which I've always thought of as a free-flowing kind of energy and a shared power of cooperation. And of course, as we know, groups of animals display this so beautifully time and time again. They demonstrate this self-organizing power. An article in Quantum magazine talks about an ant colony describing this kind of self-organization. The article says, "Give a colony of garden ants a week in a pile of dirt, and they'll transform it into an underground edifice about the height of a skyscraper in an ant-scaled city. Without a blueprint or a leader, thousands of insects moving specks of dirt create a complex structure with parallel levels connected by a framework of tunnels." We see this cooperation in all types of animal groups, and what's important is that it is all about survival. It is actually all about power, but it's a collective survival and a shared power with. There's the deep knowing that none of them can survive without the survival and the thriving of the others around it. Of course, we've all heard the term survival of the fittest, and it's perhaps one of the most culturally defining phrases of our time. So much has been built around this concept and this idea of social Darwinism, which of course doesn't begin to capture the original intention of the natural principle of survival of the fittest, but it's been twisted to justify all types of human behavior, all types of dominance and racism and classification, the idea that we must survive at all costs, no matter who we step on, no matter who's in our way, and that it's based on how powerful we are, how dominant we can be. And even further, that nature will favor those who are able to be the most dominant. And of course, this is so far from what actually happens in nature, what scientists and zoologists and conservationists and even Darwin observed in nature, which is cooperation and interdependence and mutuality. And obviously, that's true for us as well. Psychologist Louis Cosilio shares that it's not survival of the fittest, but survival of the nurtured. So how does it work with murmurations of starlings? How are they nurturing one another to survive? Especially when these murmurations can be thousands of birds, sometimes even tens and thousands of birds at a time with no discernible leader, no one with more say or more power or more control. How does any one bird keep track? It's even more magnificent by the observation that these starlings aren't flying in a rigid formation or in one straight line, but that they are synchronized together. So some Italian researchers actually analyzed more than 400 photographs of these starlings, and they saw that they were able to create a mathematical equation for how exactly these birds could do this together. It turns out that rather than all the pressure being on a few of the leaders or a few of the birds or each bird having to watch out, they found out that each and every bird only has to pay attention to its 7 closest neighbors. So when one bird moves, the one bird's group moves, and the group moves creates the entire murmuration moving. And another researcher identified 3 aspects that each of these birds in these groups is concerned with: the attraction zone, the repulsion zone, and angular alignment. The attraction zone signals who to move towards and when to do it. The repulsion zone indicates whose lane to stay out of, so you both don't collide and fall. And the angular zone indicates when to follow your neighbor. And all 3 of these aspects are at play with each bird at all times. That very principle reminds me of one of my favorite ancient proverbs. Where there's light in the soul, there will be beauty in the person. Where there's beauty in the person, there will be harmony in the home. Where there is harmony in the home, there will be honor in the nation. When there is honor in the nation, there will be peace in the world. So as we do this work to shift our systems built upon power and dominance to systemic systems built that thrive in cooperation and connection, what do we learn from the birds? What do the birds teach us of peace? What do the birds teach us of synchrony? And what do we learn from each other? Of course, at the heart of it all is that deep knowing. It's that deep knowing that we need one another to survive. We don't always need to collide, we don't always need to lead, we don't always need to follow, but we need one another to survive. And yes, we are in the great turning. And as we wind our way through this great turning, may we open our hearts to the lessons. May we open our hearts to the gifts. May we tap into our deep and ancient connection to the animals with whom we share this planet. May we open our hearts to the deep connections between each one of us who live in it too. May we move like a murmuration. May we invite peace into this world. And may we always learn from the birds. May it be so. Blessed be. As always, there's so much gratitude for all that goes into creating this service together, co-creating this service. A big thank you to the animal ministry team for your words, for your dedication, for all the ways that you build this community and helped with the service this morning. Of course, a major thank you to our musicians, our summer choir ensemble for blessing us with your music, that arrangement by Clif, Hardin, our very own, who makes so much beautiful music for this congregation each and every day. And of course, thank you to Schwei for all that you share, and our tech people making it happen each and every week. It really does take a village. It really does take each one of us to make this community what it is. And a big thank you to all of our animal friends in the space this morning. All that we learn, all that we do, all that we honor and respect, all that we learn from those who are with us in our lows, in our highs, in our sorrows, and in our joys. What a blessing it is to be here together. And now I invite you in this space to open up your palms, extending out your energy to one another in this space for our benediction. May we move synchronized in our hearts, keeping our hearts and our minds open to the ways to lead, to follow, to collide when necessary, and to be together in the midst of it all as we move our way and wind our way into the days and the weeks ahead. May we move like murmurations. May we be together. May we seek justice and peace. And may we do this all knowing that we are held in community. Our service has now ended. Ashe, and blessed be.